In the bright afternoon sunlight of the U.S. Capitol, former President Barack Obama stood calm and unflinching as Donald Trump raged on live video, desperately waving his arms and screaming about his so-called 180 IQ genius, only for Obama to drop the folder and shatter the entire myth in one brutal instant by exposing the verified 124 IQ score, the mediocre Wharton grades, and the paid-off essays that proved the loudest, stable genius in politics had been nothing more than a decades-long con. The hearing room in the U.S. Capitol was packed on a bright Washington afternoon. Sunlight poured through the tall windows as former President Barack Obama walked in carrying a simple brown folder. Cameras from every major network were rolling live. He set the folder on the witness table, adjusted the microphone, and looked straight at the members of Congress and the millions watching at home. Without wasting time, Obama nodded to the technician. A big screen behind him lit up with recent rally footage. There was Donald Trump on stage, red tie flapping, pointing at the crowd. "I have a 180 IQ, folks, 180, Trump shouted, his voice booming. "I'm a stable genius, the smartest person ever to run for president, believe me." The rally crowd in the clip cheered wildly. Obama let the full clip play, then froze it on Trump's confident smirk. Right then, the side monitor flickered on. Donald Trump appeared live via video from Mar-a-Lago, leaning forward with that big grin. "Obama, let me tell you something," he started, already trying to steamroll the moment. "This is going to be a total disaster for you. I'm the smartest president this country has ever had. 180 IQ, Wharton, perfect memory." Obama didn't raise his voice. He simply pressed a button on the control panel. Trump's audio cut off instantly. The picture stayed on. Trump still talking fast, gesturing wildly, but now completely silent. The contrast hit hard. Trump's mouth kept moving, his face turning red as he realized no one could hear him. In the hearing room, people gasped, then burst into surprised laughter and murmurs. Obama stayed calm behind the table. "Today isn't about arguing or trading insults," he said evenly, looking directly into the main camera. "We're here to compare what Mr. Trump has claimed for years with the actual facts. Nothing more, nothing less." On the screen, Trump's eyes went wide. He started banging his desk with his fist, clearly shouting, "Unmute me right now," even though no sound came through. The dull thuds of his hand hitting the wood echoed through the Capitol room's speakers. Obama didn't move. He just sat there, letting the silence stretch. Lawmakers on both sides shifted in their seats. The tension in the room thickened instantly. Trump kept pounding harder, his face growing redder by the second. You could see the veins standing out on his neck as he leaned closer to the camera, still yelling silently. Some Democrats in the room started smiling. A few Republicans looked uncomfortable, staring down at their notes. Finally, Obama leaned forward slightly. "We'll get back to you in a moment, Donald," he said in that steady, measured tone everyone knew so well. "But first, let's talk about what you actually said on that stage." Then Obama reached into the brown folder and pulled out a scanned copy of Trump's official Wharton transcript. He held it up so the cameras could see it clearly on the big screens around the room. "Mr. Trump has told the country for years that he was top of his class at Wharton," Obama said in a calm, steady voice. "He says he was the smartest guy in every room. But here's the actual record." The transcript filled the main screen. Row after row of grades appeared, mostly Bs, a few B-minuses, nothing higher. No honors listed, no mention of being first in class or even close to the top 10%, just solid average work. The room went quiet as lawmakers and viewers at home took it in. Suddenly, Trump's audio came back on. He had been unmuted. "This is fake news," he shouted, his voice blasting through the speakers. "Total fake. I was the best student Wharton ever had. Everybody knows it. Top of the class, perfect scores. Obama is lying to you people." Obama didn't flinch. He simply turned to the next page in the folder and held up another document. "This is a note from one of your professors in 1968, Donald. It says your analytical work was mediocre at best. You relied more on bold statements than on real evidence or careful thinking. Trump's face turned deep red on the screen. That's a lie. Those professors loved me. I was brilliant back then, just like I am now. Obama stayed composed. He pulled out the next piece of evidence, a scanned internal email from Wharton dated 1967. Here's something new that just came to light, he said. This is an email from the dean's office. It shows you asked your family representative to request a grade adjustment on 2 major assignments. The email even includes the reply from the school noting the special consideration given because of your father's connections. Trump froze for a split second, then exploded. That was my right, he yelled, jabbing his finger at the camera. My family worked hard. They had every right to make sure things were fair. This is a witch hunt, Obama. You're digging up old garbage because you can't stand how successful I am. The hearing room stirred. Lawmakers from both parties started whispering to each other. A few Democrats shook their heads while some Republicans looked down at their desks, avoiding eye contact with the screens. Obama leaned forward and looked straight at Trump on the video feed. Do you remember the content of that email, Donald? He asked directly. The one where you specifically asked for those grades to be reviewed and adjusted? Trump stammered for a moment, his mouth opening and closing. I don't. That was 50 years ago. Who remembers every little email? Then he quickly switched to attack mode. You're the one who shouldn't be talking, Obama. You're a low-energy guy who never built anything real. I built skyscrapers. I built an empire. I won the presidency. You're just jealous, that's all this is. Murmurs grew louder across the chamber. Several lawmakers from both sides stood up and began applauding Obama's calm presentation. The sound rolled through the room as more joined in. Trump kept shouting over the noise, repeating, "Fake, rigged, witch hunt." But his voice was starting to sound more frantic than forceful. Obama waited for the applause to settle a little, then looked back at the camera with the same steady expression. This isn't even the worst part yet. The tension in the Capitol hearing room tightened another notch. Obama reached back into the brown folder and pulled out a single sheet of paper. He held it up toward the cameras, his face serious but calm. Mr. Trump has claimed for years that his IQ is 180, he said. He calls himself a stable genius and uses that number like a weapon against anyone who disagrees with him. But here are the verified testing records from that time. The number 124 flashed across every screen in the hearing room. Solid, respectable, above average, but nowhere near 180. The entire Capitol chamber erupted in a loud collective gasp. Lawmakers leaned forward in their seats. Reporters in the back rows started typing furiously. A wave of murmurs swept through the room as the reality sank in for millions watching live across the country. Trump's video feed lit up with him holding up an old-looking document. "Here it is," he shouted, waving the paper at the camera. "My real IQ test, 180, just like I always said. This proves everything. Obama's the one lying." Obama didn't hesitate. He immediately placed another document on the screen right next to Trump's. "This is from the official archives," he said. "Your so-called 180 test paper is a photocopy that was altered 5 years after you graduated from Wharton. The dates were changed. The original records show no such score existed at the time." Trump's face turned bright red on the monitor. "Delete that right now," he demanded, pointing aggressively. "Get that fake document off the screen. This is rigged. Totally rigged." The tension in the room spiked. Trump started losing control. "This is a witch hunt," he yelled, his voice rising. "Obama is low IQ, low energy. He's a total disaster. Fake news, rigged system. Everybody knows my IQ is the highest." His words came faster and faster, the same phrases he always used, but this time his voice shook. He kept repeating them, louder each time, his face twisted with anger. Obama sat completely still and let Trump speak for a full 45 seconds. He didn't cut him off. He didn't interrupt. The hearing room listened as Trump spiraled live on national television, his voice cracking with frustration. Lawmakers exchanged glances. Some Democrats smiled. A few Republicans shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. Finally, Obama pressed the button. Trump's audio cut out again. The picture stayed on, showing him still shouting silently, fists clenched, face flushed. The contrast was brutal. Obama leaned slightly toward the camera and spoke in that calm, measured tone. "You don't actually use intelligence the way serious people do, Donald. You don't use it to learn from mistakes or think carefully. You use it like cheap costume jewelry. You flash it around, hope it sparkles, and pray nobody looks too close to see if it's real." The hearing room exploded. Lawmakers from both sides rose to their feet, clapping loudly. The applause rolled through the chamber like thunder. Some stood cheering while others nodded hard, the sound building louder and louder. Obama opened the folder again and laid 2 more documents on the table. "Let's talk about the work itself," he said. "Mr. Trump has always bragged about his brilliant mind and perfect academic record, but these records tell a different story." On the big screens, a 1967 email and a payment receipt appeared clearly for everyone to see. This shows Donald Trump paid another student to write several of his major essays. Here's the receipt from his own account and the email confirmation between the 2 students. The room reacted with a loud murmur. Lawmakers leaned in, staring at the clear numbers and signatures. It wasn't one time either. The record showed it happened more than once. Before Trump could respond, the side door of the hearing room opened. An elderly man in a dark suit walked in slowly, carrying a thick folder. The retired Wharton professor, now 80 years old, had been rushed to Washington that morning. Gasps rippled through the chamber as he took a seat at the witness table next to Obama. "I kept everything," the professor said in a clear, strong voice. "I never throw away student work." He held up the original essay from 1967. "This is Donald Trump's paper. Only the first 2 pages are in his own handwriting. The remaining 18 pages were written by someone else. You can see the difference right here." He pointed to the pages on the screen showing the sharp contrast in handwriting styles. The room fell into stunned silence as the professor read a short section aloud from Trump's 2 pages, then compared it to the much stronger writing in the rest of the paper. Trump exploded on the video screen. "This is total bullshit," he shouted, his voice cracking. "I'll sue all of you. That professor was bought off. This is a setup. Fake documents, fake witnesses. I did my own work." Obama calmly placed one final document on the screen. "This is a bank record from 1967, he said. "It shows the exact payment from Donald Trump's personal account to the other student. The amount, the date, and the memo line all match." Trump's face was now bright red and shiny with sweat. His breathing grew heavy and his voice turned hoarse. "This is a witch hunt," he yelled again, but the fire was fading. "They're all lying. Everybody's against me." Obama looked straight at the screen and asked the direct question. "Donald, do you want to apologize to the students whose work you paid for, right now, on live television?" For the first time in his long public career, Trump went completely silent. 7 long seconds passed with nothing but his wide-eyed stare filling the screen. No shouting, no finger pointing, no quick comeback, just silence. His mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Then Trump's audio came back on for one final time. He leaned forward, eyes wild, and started screaming without stopping. "This is a total witch hunt," he yelled, his voice blasting through the Capitol speakers. "Obama, you're a low IQ liar. That professor is a bought-off clown. The whole Congress is rigged against me. You people are disgusting." He attacked everyone in sight. Obama, the elderly professor sitting quietly beside him, even the lawmakers on both sides. "You're all losers, jealous failures who never built anything." The room tensed as Trump kept going, louder and faster. His attacks grew more personal, more desperate. He pointed straight at the camera, face twisted in rage. "I'm the one who won the election. I built the biggest empire. You have nothing on me." Obama stayed calm. He placed one last document on the screen, a handwritten letter from Trump dated 1970 sent to the Wharton administration. "This is the final piece," Obama said quietly. The letter filled every monitor in the room. In Trump's own handwriting and with his clear signature at the bottom, it read, "I am not strong in analytical work and request special assistance and support to complete my requirements." Trump stared at his own signature on the giant screen. His face went pale. The color drained away in seconds. For a moment, he looked like he had seen a ghost. His mouth hung open, eyes locked on the letter he had written nearly 60 years ago. Then the emotion exploded. Trump's voice cracked as he shouted again and again, "Success is the only test that matters. Success! I'm a winner. Only losers care about old papers." He repeated it over and over, his voice breaking like he was fighting back tears of pure anger. "Success is the only test. Tremendous success." The words came out shaky and raw. Some Republican lawmakers lowered their heads, staring at the table in front of them. On the other side, several Democrats stood up and started cheering loudly, clapping and pointing at the screen. Obama kept his voice low and steady. "You took an ordinary story, Donald, a normal student who got average grades and needed help sometimes, and turned it into a weapon. You used that fake story to attack scientists, generals, judges, and millions of Americans who simply disagreed with you. You hurt this country with a myth that was never real." Trump slammed his fist on the desk so hard the microphone shook and feedback screeched through the speakers. "This is the end of your career, Obama," he screamed at the top of his lungs, spit flying. "You're finished. I'll destroy all of you." Obama pressed the mute button one last time. Trump's mouth kept moving, but the sound cut off completely. His furious red face stayed frozen on the giant screens, screaming in perfect silence while the entire hearing room watched. Obama looked straight into the camera, his voice calm but carrying through the entire Capitol chamber. "There is nothing wrong with being an ordinary student who went to college, worked through his classes, and got decent grades," he said. "Millions of Americans do that every year. It's normal. It's human. What's wrong is taking that ordinary story and turning it into a fake throne, then using that throne to look down on everyone else, calling them low IQ, losers, and failures. That's when the lie becomes toxic. That's when it hurts the country." The room was completely still. Lawmakers on both sides listened closely as Obama's words landed with real weight. Then the retired Wharton professor stood up one last time. He walked forward slowly and placed 3 more original exam papers on the table. "These are additional tests from Donald Trump's time at Wharton," he said clearly. "Every single one has my red notes. Lacks depth, needs major improvement, and more analysis required." The documents appeared on the giant screens in high resolution. The handwriting critiques were impossible to miss. The entire hearing room rose as one. Thunderous applause erupted and kept going for a full 60 seconds. Democrats cheered openly. Even some Republicans stood and clapped, caught up in the moment. The sound filled the Capitol chamber like a wave, rolling louder and stronger as the truth of those old papers hit home for everyone watching live. In the middle of the standing ovation, Trump's video feed suddenly went black. He had disconnected. For the first time in his long career on live television, he simply ran. No final insult, no last angry shout, just silence from his side of the screen. Obama sat quietly for a moment, then gently closed the brown folder. He looked at the microphone in front of him and spoke softly, almost to himself, but loud enough for the whole room and the country to hear. "Myths die when they're finally forced to sit still long enough to be measured." The hearing officially ended under the bright afternoon sunlight streaming through the Capitol windows. But the story was only beginning. Within the first hour, clips of the hearing exploded across the internet. The moment Obama revealed the 124 IQ number, Trump's speechless 7 seconds, and the professor reading the old essays, all of it raced past 30 million views and kept climbing. Phones across America buzzed nonstop. News channels replayed the highlights on loop. Trump fired off furious tweets from Mar-a-Lago, calling it the biggest witch hunt in history, fake documents, and low IQ Obama. He posted again and again, trying desperately to regain control. But this time, the anger only made it worse. Every new tweet became fresh fuel for the clips that were already everywhere. The loudest myth in modern politics had finally been measured under bright lights, and it would never sound quite the same again.